same bat channel. Brendan at the big desk.
Hey guys, yeah, 2 o'clock. Welcome back in as we head into the final couple hours here on what's turning into a pretty negative afternoon. And it's all because of essentially one news story and one headline this morning that kicked off pretty heavy selling across semiconductors. We'll get to that in a second. There are a couple of areas in the overall market that are holding up better than the rest. One of those is actually energy right now. Oil stocks still positive across the entire group. Oil itself, not really doing much, kind of chopping around, basically break even. Here's XOM, up a full % on the day when the market is back downside. So just highlighting the fact that we are seeing most of the weakness this afternoon in tech. VFC, another one standing out today, 13.25% to the upside. Excuse me, my voice not participating. 13.25% to the upside. As I was mentioning this morning, there was an activist investor disclosing a big stake in VF Corporation this morning. There it is, the board as we head into the afternoon, as I mentioned. Yeah, it's all about chips. 4.7% right now to the downside, dragging the rest of them with it is NVIDIA. Apple, 0.5% also. You can see Google, Microsoft, kind of flat, not really doing much. Meta stronger than the rest. Adobe here holding up nicely as well, 1.5%. Amazon in the red. Banks are green on the day. There is some positivity, as I mentioned, in the energy group here. AbbVie standing out 1.25%, where the rest of the pharmaceutical group also downside in a pretty big way. We'll kick things off with a look at Tesla, 0.25% in a second here. But that's the chart right now of NVIDIA. We get this huge flush initially on this. Biden administration comes out and says they're going to expand these restrictions on not only chips going to China, but also equipment to make chips going to China. NVIDIA itself came out and said they felt that this expansion of these restrictions, the impact of the expansion was going to be minimal. This is a very prominent Chinese analyst that covers the tech sector. More well known for covering Apple and big tech in general, Google as well. But they came out during lunchtime and said the impact and analysis on NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel will actually be more like medium instead of not very much at all. So that kind of had that top put in on NVIDIA, and we're back to the downside now. So the lay of the land, anyways, as we get going. We were touching on Tesla this morning, if you're with us in the pre-market, off of a recall. It was 55,000 Model X units were going to be recalled in the US, and this is over a brake issue. It's going to be solved with a software update, so not a big deal, but there was a sensor that, specifically the job of the sensor is to find problems with brake pressure, and that obviously can be a problem if you're driving down the street and don't have brake pressure and then don't have brakes. So they're going to solve it with a over-the-air software update, but still an issue for Tesla here, guys. It's back to basically flat as we saw.
Unless you're such a good driver that you just don't need brakes. Yeah. You just need the gas pedal and the handbrake, and then you're good to go, which is definitely not me. Look, like Tesla, every chart's going to look relatively the same. Let's be real about it. So when you see something like this, and I'm talking about the Tesla chart, you don't want to fight it, right? Like look at the hammer bottom that got put in right underneath yesterday's low. Hammer bottom, stair step to the upside. Like, it's pulling back now. So, you know, fair enough. It's made like $2 or3 pullback, but it also ran $10 upside, right? Like, let's be real about this. This is still green, even with the market. Like, the NASDAQ went green, is now 0.5% to the downside. The ES went green, is now 0.25% to the downside. Tesla is still up on the day and holding above 253, which was a big pivot line yesterday. As long as it holds on to that, this is in the bucket of strength. Because it's not going to get said, and because I just said the bucket of strength, I'm just going to throw this one out there because I saw Jessica Woodard in the chat just pointed this out, and I've been trying to figure out what the heck's going on with Roblox. As the market has been trending to the downside, Roblox has been making fresh highs. So speaking of buckets of strength, Tesla is kind of in one on that pullback, but Roblox is full bore heading into the upside. This is a simple case of Tesla. If you like that top, I don't know what would have been. I mean, 257, maybe there's an impetus to have gotten short looking here. I thought 59, 60 was probably a little bit more reasonable, but if you just sort of lean into it, eventually the market did turn here. I just think Tesla is in the bucket of relative strength. If there's a bounce, Tesla would be on the other side of what I'm looking for. And throw Roblox in there for whatever reason it's going up. They don't report till, what is it, the 8th of November? Yeah. So it's not like they're imminently reporting Roblox. Crazy move to the upside on Roblox. I'm surprised by that, but Tesla, good day today. To still be green after this pullback is pretty impressive.
The buyout rumors right now is Southwest Energy, so we're long against $7. We'll get out if that does happen. I mean, honestly, guys, today's been such a good day for trading. We're going to be horrendously red on Amazon, but everything else has just been so good. I mean, Rivian right now, shorted, nicely done. We got that top tick all the way back in. No losing trades there. No losing trades on Lucid either, as there's Lucid. We have the top of the day, and right now it's at the bottom of the day. So far so good here for all of these names that we've broken lower, man. We just got a $5 fill, so this has just been really good. Really good day here for the automotives. I haven't looked at Tesla, so it's been Lucid for me. It's been Rivian. We got those Lucid numbers today that tanked it. But there it is again. Like, it's been an unbelievable couple of 2-3 hours here for me trading. We pretty much made everything back. Amazon's been a complete disaster. We're once again $2.25 in the money. We were just $3. We just bounced off VWAP. We should have taken it there at 321.80. Let's wait for that. But look at all these meta shorts, man. It's just been an absolute monster of the last couple hours in this market. So we haven't looked at Tesla. Maybe we should. But we'll just stick with what we've been doing, focusing on some of the names that I mean, right now I'm in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, even Intel, pretty simple, comes all the way back into the open range where we were sort of in the pre-market, and we shorted that one, and now we're just printing on that today as well. So it's been a good day here, but yeah, no Tesla trades for me.
Out Chesapeake. There's no numbers or anything as far as being agreed upon, but they do actually point to, you were just saying, Sharif's joined me here, you were just saying, everyone getting excited over this Pioneer deal with XOM, so just a heads up on SWN getting a nice pop there, as Sean was mentioning, off that note of potential, nothing agreed upon, but potential buyout for Southwestern. Let's talk NVIDIA. Teed it up a little bit there as we, right, it's Apple. Thank you, Ramin. I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to NVIDIA in a second. I was getting excited about this move back down for NVIDIA. Morgan Stanley, who is reporting tomorrow, came out cutting their price target today, pointing specifically, as we've heard over the past week or so, to slowing and weaker than expected Chinese iPhone 15 sales. So more of the same.
No, and it's a real threat, because we know that Tim Cook made a surprise appearance in China at a store where he was displaying King of Honor, this game by Tencent, and obviously trying to buoy some spirits there. I have no idea who he met with, but you have to assume there were some probably high-level meetings, especially with this unannounced trip. We'll see how they do, but it's been a worry as of late for Apple with respect to China.
Still trying to go higher here, Sean, for that SWN on that note.
She's trying to go, but we're long at 12 right now. I was trying to get out at 18. That's been 19. That's been the high right now, but you're probably right. And thanks for bringing that back to my attention right here, because maybe this is the high. It's just a projected deal right now, so it's not necessarily, in stone or anything like that, but we'll wait. Oh, my 19 got canceled. Okay, good thing I looked at that again. We'll see. I did try to buy some more 6s there. It seems like that might have been sort of the stopping spot there. And the reason why I got in this was just because of what you and Sharif were mentioning there. There it is. Yes, sir. Let's go. Spin a little bit of this as we go. We had that deal with Pioneer and XOM, so let's see here if this can continue to go to the upside. I would love a halt and get this going, but we're already out of a couple pieces right now. One at 17, unfortunately, one at 19. Again, our stop was going to be a break of 7, so it needs to go higher than this. But we're just playing the momentum right now. All right, Apple, big cut today. We had it written down here as a 179 short sell. And then, you know what? Right now, I'm short everything, and we're not even looked at Apple here today. So, unfortunately, we did leave that one alone. The short 179, again, 178.50 looks like the best it got to. obviously when we wrote this, I mean, these wicks up here are dark pools, so no big deal, but we did not get into this, but we are 100% cool on the shorts. You guys remember both these things were bulls. I turned them into bears, and then boom goes a dynamite to the downside, then a huge reversal back up for Apple. So I'm still looking at 179, but I'm short everything else, as we said right now. Multiple dollars in the money everywhere. Apple's been kind of calm. It has big moves, but let's just wait to see. It's redder, if that's a word, than the market right now. So possibly a good little short. We're just short everything else for me to take any opportunities right now. So we'll wait on Apple. But yeah, 179. We're still going to keep short on the sticky note as long as we're under 180.
Yeah, the 180 level never came into play. The 179 was the double top from yesterday. When the market was coming back in, I liked to short on Apple, not afraid to say it. So I had it down here off 176. We got it out. Waited for it to get to this level, was a 177 double bottom from yesterday. That was probably the best area in terms of a short earlier on, and it gave like 77s down into like the halves a couple of times. We were able to get gross on it, and then it just stopped out. So at that point, 1 for 2. I did try it off of 78. That was no good. I could have stuck with it, but once it was at the pre-market level, the next level up was 179. So if you just stuck with it, sort of randomly shorting it in the middle, it would have worked out. But outside of the pre-market levels, it needed to go another 70, 80 cents. Would have been there if it had, but it didn't. So it is what it is. And now that you're bouncing off 177, remember, this is where the support was yesterday in the afternoon. So it's probably not that surprising that that area of interest of 177 is holding up. Just to correspond with that, let me throw up the ES chart for a second here because this will kind of matter. The ES is hanging on to essentially the pre-market bottom where things fell apart. Like that's where we're bouncing, about a 43.85. If you're watching the NASDAQ, you're kind of doing the same thing. So off the 15.2 on the NASDAQ and then pre-market lows on the ES. Apple here bouncing off this 177 as well. So if this goes, I think it gets really nasty into the downside. I've covered, the only shorts I had on were AMD and Meta at the top. I've covered one of them hanging on to that AMD, which I guess we'll talk about chips next here, upcoming.
Discussing with Fabian and Ramin here. All right, now we can talk about NVIDIA, as I was mentioning. Trying to hold, as the guys were talking there, I was just watching some buyers coming back in here for NVIDIA, but still an ugly day. If you missed it or are just joining, this morning we get this note of an expansion of these restrictions for chips going to China, along with anything and everything that makes said chips. NVIDIA then comes out and says they don't see it being an issue in the near term. As I was mentioning there at 2 o'clock when we came back on, this is a very well-respected and prominent Chinese-based tech analyst that came out over lunchtime and said not only will this be impacting NVIDIA, but also AMD and Intel, and they actually said medium term will be the amount for that.
Yeah, and more specifics on this one. Now we know the A800 and the H800 are going to be banned. Those were previously gray area chips where we wasn't really sure that they would be able to export them, but there wasn't any restriction just yet. It was the H100 that was known for sure that you couldn't export, and that's kind of like the flagship GPU for NVIDIA. So now, you know, these chip makers were trying to make chips specifically for export in China. They're going to have to rethink that strategy, Brendo.
Yeah, I wanted to point this out as well. As we said, this is going to affect companies that make equipment that make chips as well. NVIDIA obviously trying to roll over right now, as we saw there, back to the downside. Here's ASML that actually ended the day right back to positive after that initial flush. This is in Amsterdam, obviously, but the initial flush on that headline comes all the way back to positive, guys.
Yeah, I mean, actually, ASML does have an ADR, so even though the volume is really low, you can still trade it after 11:30. Just you probably don't want to, actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, everything got a bit of a bid. As Randy is by the green screen eating M&Ms and dropping them on the ground as we speak. So yeah, that was what I just heard and what caused me to do that. But NVIDIA, what an unbelievable, like this, the turn at 425 was violent, but this is one of the few names that didn't really come all the way back. So it filled in a lot of the gap. It got nowhere near 450. If you remember Lunch Money, this is what I thought was going to be, I thought it would be 450. Was waiting around for that level. It never really got there. Frustrating, but the curl is the curl. What did get to a level was AMD. Now I took a shot. Oh, I just got trailed out of AMD at 105. I took a shot at AMD at 105 here, got stopped, and then was waiting for it to get to the top. Like everything at the high was played at the key level and then played at the next level to the upside. So I just got trailed out of AMD 106 at the 105 level. I'm ringing the register on that one. It was a double top there. We're able to grab it. NVIDIA just never got in the pocket. And now I will have my treat that Randy just nicely brought to us.
All right. In the theme of making a little bit of money, we shorted AMD, and we were pretty patient with that, waiting for that 106. We wanted AMD at 107, but because we had that huge move down today, we talked about that. That's the whole story here. We had to wait for it to pop back up. So again, we are now in, again, another one. I mean, it's all fun and games, but, nice little dollar here on AMD as it continues to go to the downside. And then, honestly, another W for us here today. Like, we're right on Amazon. I can go over all the stocks that I've traded today. You can see the names that we're in right now for yourself. But there was Intel, again, basically the top tick of the day. We're in on that one. And then we got some out as it started to fall down. So that's 40s. We don't even start to take any out here until that's 35, out 15s, out 10s, out 15s again, then out O's. So again, it's just been such a good trade here today to be short early, short late, long at 10 o'clock. Like, if you're not enjoying trading today, then I mean it's been pretty wild. I could see how there would be tons of cash floating around, but at the same time, there's been some pretty key levels and some pretty big holds here today as well. So it's been a good day. Let's see if we can bring it into the close right now. No banks traded yet, but I should have traded BAC. So let's go back over to the guys and see what's up.
All right, let's talk some banks here. Again, we get one more tomorrow before the open. MS will come through with their report. I saw this headline that came from the call from Bank of America. It kind of caught my eye. CEO Brian Moynihan saying, consumer spending continuing to slow due to higher rates. Tell the retail sales number this morning that and see what it thinks.
Yeah, honestly, what I want to hear or what I want to see from that report, and I'm going to read it later, is how much consumer savings that were at all-time highs or local highs during the pandemic have dwindled. So that's what I want to see. Now, let's talk about their earnings reports. Bank of America beat on both the top and bottom line, but it's still hurting. You know why? Because they piled on into low-yielding, long-dated securities during the pandemic, and those securities have really lost their value as interest rates have climbed. With respect to Goldman Sachs, Brendo, they beat on the top and bottom line as well, but they're also suffering from two problems. First of all, they got into retail banking, which they didn't do well on, and they're trying to get out of. That's number one. Number two, they have commercial real estate exposure, and that's hurting them as well. We talked a lot about the problems in the commercial real estate sector. We'll see how they do.
It was, when we came on at 2 o'clock, if anyone missed it, it was the standout as far as groups are concerned on this board. There's BAC having quite the day, but both of these, Berkshire a laggard, JPM a laggard, again, Morgan Stanley coming up tomorrow to round out, there it is, to round out the earnings from big banks, guys.
What that is. We don't know what those symbols are. All I know is that when I look at BAC, so like I said, it's been a great day trading today. But honestly, I need to talk to Michael Noss about this, where I just put in the levels that I want to short, and then regardless of what happens, it just automatically takes the trade for me, so I don't even have to think about it. Kind of like that long in Amazon, which is going to be a disaster. We have everything today, but we also have the absolute worst stock here. But look what we put here for BAC. I mean, again, and I just missed it, $28 short. We've been talking all day, fade banks, especially if we get going. We've been talking about this. I mean, literally, I wasn't here Friday, so I guess we talked about it yesterday during the day, then yesterday on the recap show. And then look at this. There it is right there. $28 came in. I said, if we get going, which is exactly what happened, short up to here. So that's definitely, honestly, pretty easy missed trade there. So, that's part of the frustration as we go. But look what's happening right now, man. Good little action. We can trade big cap, small cap, large cap, mini cap, no cap. Look at SWN starting to go now finally. So we're in this name down here at 7 and change. Let's see if it goes. We just got a piece out about 10 minutes ago at 7:24 where we said we'd be waiting around for this. So SWN immediately going back into Greensville for me here. We only have 3 names that are red. We could talk about those. But yeah, I like the banks here. We just should have shorted that BAC around 28. So stupid me, but I should just listen to myself.
Yeah, Monty G, glad you had that one on BAC. Like, let's go over why we had this on the morning note before we started today. It's just, sometimes it's pretty obvious on the daily chart. Support to resistance, and I'm saying it again because it's pretty obvious. And then there's that 20. It never actually got to 28, which a lot of times the best levels as the market's making a high, you might not actually creep to it, but that's close enough to the resistance. What's worth mentioning here is in a stair step up, this is a strong stock. Right? Like, let's be real, this is a bullish chart today. It wicked underneath the previous close to go red, trapping shorts under 27. It then broke out a local high at 27.50. It just happened to get to a big level at 28. It is for now holding the previous resistance as new support on a dip off that obvious level. So if it holds 27.50, that's actually bullish back into the 28 level. So this setup tells me that 28 can come again this afternoon. So it's easy chance that this could make another push back into 28, especially with the ES bouncing a little bit here on BAC. I know we talked about a couple of names this morning, but JP Morgan, again, it came close. I put this in the thing of Apple as well. Like, if I was willing to short this far away from the 150 level, probably getting myself into trouble by breaking that rule. But this curled, and it's all green on the 15-minute to the upside. Gets to, like, it breaks 149, and it's been all red back in. BAC broke out, pulled back, and is holding a higher low. JP Morgan came all the way back in. So it's a very different story. I think, look, the reason why I think, and again, who knows, the reason I would say it's probably come all the way back in is JP is the one that was holding up the best. It trades at a premium, whereas the others are catching a relief bounce. So it's not really getting far away from the 50-period moving average and just running into the top end of resistance. But a very big difference between JP Morgan and BAC today on the banks. BAC, with that great rally, still holding some of these tops. I was surprised when I looked back and saw JP Morgan had given up the entire move here. It's probably worth looking at this for some weakness the rest of the week in JP Morgan after looking at this retracement.
We were just talking about the yields. Just crazy. 2-year took out highs from last week again, so we're back to 5 and change once again for some of these. Just absolutely insane. CHPT, Frank Caberna, by the way, coming up in a few minutes here. We'll get his opinion on what's happening not only today, but over the past few days here as we head to more important data coming out next week. I saw PCE coming through next week. We've got to wait all the way to Friday, but GDP as well. We get an advanced look at GDP. ChargePoint, I saw a pop up there on a volume scanner. Just took out the high. I don't see any news on it, but just a heads up on ChargePoint. J&J, another earnings name from this morning. Ends up being kind of a non-event, really. Coming off their call, there was some interesting comments, but nothing to do, really.
Yeah, not much of a day trading stock right now, but in any event, they did well. They beat on the top and bottom line, crediting their success to the pharmaceutical and medical devices business, which surged. They're down 11% on the year. Their stock, by the way, sales were up on the quarter 6.8% year over year. But the thing that I talked about the most on the midday and on the morning are watch out for how they negotiate with Medicare, because Medicare is looking to cap drug costs, and that could really affect their margins.
All right, I was going to grab a chart here of the 2-year yield. It's interesting that, you know what, we'll come back. We'll talk to Frank about, obviously, the yields and interest rates as we get more Fed talk as well throughout the day today and tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. The rundown is always brought to you by Trade Ideas. Go get yourself a copy right now. Bottom right corner, you can use that QR code, scan it with your phone or mobile device. It'll take you right to the page that you need to be on. TraderTv20 then is the promo code. You'll get 20% off their brand new and very well created web app. Also working great. You get news, you get charts. I'm conveniently not loading at this moment, but trust me when I say, right here, there's typically a chart, Michael Moss, and also all you need to know on the financial side. Shout out to Trade Ideas.
Yes, sir. Shout out to them for sure. And just one thing, because I saw this in the chat, I wanted to acknowledge it because there was a couple. Hurricane Ditka, love it. Hurricane Ditka in the chat just saying TLT was at 84.50 when the SPY low of the day. It's been range bound, and you're essentially dead on. If you're looking at TLT to get an idea of what like the bond market is doing, it made that bottom. And the curl was right at the high, like right at 8 o'clock and into the pre-market when volume starts to come in. That was top. And then that's when the market turned. And it's been sort of curling ever since. In this little bounce, it's actually consolidating lower. So the NASDAQ bounced 20, 30 points. ES, I don't know, like 5 or 10 maybe. But you're actually getting a bit of a consolidation here on the 15-minute on TLT. Just wanted to throw that out there because when we see that I always have a chart up of TLT when I want to have a reference of it, just in case. But when I see that, I absolutely love you guys that you're pointing that out and looking at different indicators. I want to get this out of the way because I am in NEO. This is from earlier. Breakout, couldn't really follow through. Dip into 850. Again, it goes to like 858. Now it's just kind of consolidating. So Chinese ADR that went up and now is doing absolutely nothing. Probably doesn't do that much in the afternoon. But if it breaks this local bottom, I just get out. Do not want to be fighting that one too much. I do want to come back over to rope. Now that we're done this, right? We're not talking. Okay, fine. We'll say something about J&J. J&J is down 1.5%. J&J is headed possibly down toward $100, $150 support on the daily. If it gets there, that looks pretty interesting to me. Obviously, they have a few headwinds they still got to deal with legally, but the 150 level on the daily looks like it'll be a good one. Still going to be looking for Roblox on some strength there. If this market does hold a bounce, I like Roblox long. I don't think J&J is going to be a trade this afternoon. I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know. Roblox just made a bit of a curl. Okay, this could be interesting. Remember, Roblox is now bouncing off of the gap fill level, so there's a huge gap on the daily here for Roblox above about 31.25. So it's trying to get back to those levels. A 32 break. It's still not going to happen today, but a 32 break on Roblox looks absolutely gorgeous when you look at the amount of room this has to set upside. But up 2% in this market is pretty darn good.
Yeah, I'd say so. And today, down 0.43. I mean, we could get a little bit of a bouncing spot. There was questions about why am I still in AMD. I mean, I guess we could have got out at VWAP down there at 104.50. I thought realistically the market was going to go, and we've been dead right on a lot of this here. I mean, I could review, you could see the positions right now. Intel, 50 cents, Google 50. Google was also $1. I mean, Google was a hell of a lot lower as well. And we got out of a piece right there, and then a piece again at 139.16. Did not get anything out down here at 139. What I'm trying to do when you're seeing me hold some of these positions, it's like I'm trying to see if there's going to be an extended move. Even more than what we're getting right now. Like Google could have gone, first of all, bounce, so that's fine, which is why we take some out. I mean, I don't know where it's going to bounce. I mean, why not bounce here, right? So when we have the big wins, that's what we do. And again, this is why I say to you guys, I always say it in the chat too, you got to follow your own book and realize that how you trade is going to be a little bit different than the next person. So I was hoping for, and again, now that I look at this for Google, and this is hindsight is 20/20 all the time, but like right into there, we could have got it out, but waiting for VWAP again, it's kind of the same reason. When I get it out here, I say, why don't I wait? Well, why we got it out here is because this was the top 139.15 right there. So I don't need this to come down and we have 60 cents in the money or more, and then all of a sudden I'm like, nah, we don't want to take it, and then you look back about a half hour later, like we're doing now, and you realize, there was the spot right there that we should have got out, but we didn't. So you got to let some things bleed a little bit. And like, if we didn't let things go down, then how the hell would we have $2, $3 winners on Meta? This is what I'm doing. You see how I'm getting out here? Just making sure that this 323.50, because look where we're short. We're short up here and getting out on the bottom. If we're going to get out when it breaks for 20 or 30 cents hit, we have to take some out when we're in the money 20 or 30 cents, or else all of these 1-to-1, all this risk reward ratio is just not going to pan out. So right now, I do have a bid at 321.80. Why? Because it's VWAP, and we've seen it before. So maybe at 322, I mean, here comes Meta right now coming back in. So see, this goes through my head. Like, what do? Do we wait for that very bottom, or do we just take a 322 fill? Well, actually, I just answered my own question. I'm going to take a 322 fill instead of waiting for 321.80. You know, so that when it drops down, I can be like, okay, maybe we hit VWAP, maybe we don't, but we'll take it out just in front of VWAP a little bit there. Now it might bounce back, who knows? But that's the kind of thing that's going through my mind. And it's the same thing here with like this SWN. Look where we are, man. It's a nice little rip move higher. We're just noticing that it's been bouncing off of 30 here a little bit, right? If I don't get out for 1-to-1, then where do I get out? You know, whoa. You guys saw that big size there, 400,000 shares right there, right now on the offer of SWN. So I see that now, and I'm like, you know, what are we going to do? Maybe I should be getting out of some of this. So let's wait to see what happens. Someone could take that, though. There it goes. So they're starting to get hit. It's gone. Now, did it? I think that must have been a pull because
some of it filled.
I saw
some of it filled. I saw some prints.
Oh yeah, it all filled.
They filled
it. It all filled. That's 250,000 one trade, right there. 250,000 one trade. 30,000. Yeah. So they took this out. This deal is going to happen. This SWN deal is going to. Someone thinks it's going to happen. I mean, someone just bought 400,000 shares, 450,000 shares off the offer, and paid for it. Like that, just to pay for those shares is
that's expensive.
Mind-blowing. And someone just did it cash money right there. So let's see. Maybe it doesn't go. I actually thought that when you see a big print like that, that would have sent this, you know, back to 30s at least. So that did not happen. Let's see if it shows back up again. I'm going to be stubborn on this. We still have 40%. I'm going to wait for 30s. It was here like basically for the last 10 minutes. We screwed up by not looking at it. But by the way, there it is, man. Meta, again, like another $2 right there. There's the fill. What's up to my friend Phil? Saw him this weekend. It was very, very nice. And then there it is right now. Huge move down on Meta. Look at this. Short. This is how you know we ain't playing around. You know, like these are fills that have come in, right? And so obviously I wish we didn't take so many up here, but there it is. Nice move to the downside. So yeah, man, we're slowly grinding this day back. What's up, Brendan?
Not causing much of a reaction here, but notable when this happens. Intraday downgrade on this one, Lucid, off those deliveries this morning. CFRA downgrading Lucid to a sell from a hold with a $4 price target here.
Yeah, that's not necessarily good. $4 price target. I mean, $5 has been support on that stock basically forever. I'm going to get to Roblox in a quick second, but if you're looking at Lucid, here's the story. I mean, double bottom. Every time it's gotten under 5, it's snapped back somewhere. The double bottom ended up being exactly at last week's low. I mean, to the penny, it bounced off last week's low, which is nuts. As long as it continues to trend like this, I guess it's eventually getting to $4. This is what you call, at least I've been told, it's a descending wedge. Lower highs all the way into a flat bottom. That's a descending wedge last time I checked, so let's try to respect that. What's happening now is you're starting to break this channel down on TLT, which to me says we can go a little bit lower here. So I looked at that Roblox. It's like, yeah, you know what? It just did a rejection candle. It was a rejection candle. It just did this rejection, 31.15, and starts consolidating. So if we're going to break down on futures and treasuries in this consolidation, this can get, I think, at least a 30.80, if not VWAP. I do want to respect that. The other thing I'll look at is Palantir here. I mean, Palantir has been an absolute beast. It's still bouncing off VWAP. Palantir's up 2.5%. So when I was saying Roblox is super strong, it's not the only thing that's super strong. Palantir is a defense name, and obviously that's going to bode well for you right now in this environment to a lot of a degree. It broke out, but this feels a little bit, like it still feels a little bit strong to me. Like the accumulation was at this 17.6 level. That's where we bounced. If we do dip down, this is probably the last thing that I want to go into the long at, right back where we had it earlier. It curled at 18. I got out, but not short. Should have had that one short at $18. If we get back up to 18, it's probably worth another shot there, if that can even happen. But unless unless something drastic changes, I do feel like we're going to be relatively range bound, which does set up at least one shot more at the long on Palantir here. So good name for them, up 2.5%. Like I said, like there are a few things out there that have been pretty strong, even in like the tech space, right? But
Yeah.
I'm guessing that I think this is because it's a bit of a defense name, and that's why. Gotham Bags explain VWAP, the volume weighted average price. So essentially, like if you think about all the prices that happen, like a moving average is just going to be take every single candle that happens, regardless of how many shares were traded there, and then you can have a nice smooth average based on that. But you care about where is it transacted. So what you do for volume weighted average price is take all of these candles and simply look at the amount of volume that goes off and weight it by the amount of volume. So the opening print is going to have a ton of volume in it. Therefore, you're going to anchor heavily into that opening range because of all the volume that goes down there, and it takes some time for VWAP to catch up. I'm saying that on my 15 where I don't have VWAP. There you go. So see how like VWAP is really, really low, and it takes a while to catch up because there's so much volume at the open. The reason traders will use this is a lot of institutions will grade their executions based on whether they beat VWAP or not. So you tend to have like a good reversal level off of VWAP sometimes, some gravity pulling towards VWAP on retracements or bounces off of the lows. So that's why a lot of traders use it. You'll see it on, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like everybody here has VWAP on their charts. Sean has it, I have it, Sharif has it, I think Adara has it.
Adara has it.
She does?
Well, because I told her that's the only thing she should be using.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's on everybody's chart around here is VWAP. I have volume as well, but yeah, great question, and that's why you're going to see it happen all the time. You're going to have us on there all the time, that VWAP, and bouncing off VWAP is Palantir. That's why I like it at that level.
Okay, so I just want to say, a big shout out here, Comp SRX1. He said on the screen here, hit the damn like for Sean's trades today. Don't hit it for me, but thank you so much for that. Hit it for this.
Hola, like and subscribe today.
Been a while, I feel like, since we've done that one because we have to hit Sharif's all the time. I just want to say one thing. Remember I talked about different styles and things like that. So today, Neil was just talking about it, we have the top for Lucid today. We also have, if we take it out right now, I mean, we don't have the very bottom when those numbers came out, but this would also be the bottom of the day, and we have 12 fills on Lucid there today, okay? So 12 fills, right? Okay. Meta's the #1 stock here today. It's not even close P&L wise. 97 fills on Meta. So that's kind of the difference here when you're talking about things like this, right? Is, again, wish we had a little more patience on Meta and feel like we have a lot of good outs on Lucid. So I just wanted to talk about that, and thank you so much to Comp SRX1 as we go. So there it is. Someone has 322 fills. Is that what you guys have? Right now in total, I have 397 fills today on everything in total, including, the biggest disaster. Like I could tell you guys, like, Meta's been great today, and I just said it was the #1 name by far. Well, the #1 name to the red side by far is Amazon. So, we could have the best ones and the worst ones. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. You need to make some money. We got out of the way of every single one of these Amazon trades, but the problem is we just didn't believe in this move back up, and we just got really stubborn and just lost there, then lost. Like all of these, sure, there's wins here, but net they're losses. So we don't really have anything here on Amazon that's really that good to talk about here today. I got in and out there. I had to put on a trade quickly. But other than that, just into here. This is where we really lost our way earlier. You guys are you were watching, right? This was 10 o'clock. And I know people were talking about it, like Sean keeps shorting Amazon. And like right there, this was really the only good fill that we had there on Amazon. Was back into the mid. And then once we broke the high of the day, it's really just stupid. There's a difference between Meta and Amazon today, right? One we are very patient with Meta. We even wrote down, I don't even know where my sticky note is, was probably a good thing. We wrote down 324 on our sticky note for Meta. And if you go over there to Meta, this is exactly Sure, we were stubborn in here too, but we actually got it. This was actually fine. So lots of money made early on Meta, which is part of the reason why it's up. And there again, and then look, when it came to 324, we just believed in ourselves and in the sticky note and the work that we'd done past. So that's where that came from. And then even here, just by getting out there, there's lots of opportunities. Like we could have got out. Like we could have got out for much better every single time. But that's a good little tick out there. You know, so we can go back and forth and talk about all these different stocks and all these different trades, but it's up to everybody out there to know when to put on the right amount of risk and then how much. So, you know, I'm here to say just as much as we talk about Meta being amazing, I'm here to say like Amazon, we definitely lost our way there early on this name, just kept shorting it against the trend. So sometimes I do have to get, you know, that mallet and hit myself over the head and just stop trading names that go against what you thought. And the worst part about all of this is, again, I've no idea where it is, but we had written down on the sticky note, long Amazon 129, right? So that, you know, we had the long there. Once it broke, we got out, which is that little red mark. Then we started the short, and that's where it all started again. So a few lessons for me today. Stop over trading just because you're a little bit upset that you thought one way and it went the other way. You can always get out of that. And the second lesson for me is stick with your damn guns because, you know, we could have been reversed this day. It could have been an absolute monster. Instead, we're battling back out of a stupid trade right there for Amazon. So, you know, that's just the talk. Over almost 400 trades today and definitely misstep. My fees are only 26.
So that's what I wanted to get to because there was a question by Down to Sky in the chat here about like all the executions and is there any effect of having so many fills? Total transaction volume must be in millions. Just curious from an IRS point of view. So we are trading in a prop floor here. So we are prop traders trading firm capital, and that's really the difference. It's not the same rules you would have as a retail trader, right? Like we trade firm capital, we trade direct access market fees, so you can make hundreds of trades in a day. I've seen traders make thousands of trades with very low fees. You can add liquidity and get paid a rebate, like all sorts of things that might be a little bit different. So when you're looking at sort of the style of trade in a prop floor, it's more important to judge, you know, risk to reward, entry points, why you're making the trade. The number of executions is going to be vastly different than what a retail trader is very likely to be doing. Now, not always the case, but certainly most of the time. So I just wanted to get that one out of the way. It's a great question, and there's no such thing as a bad question in this community, that's for sure. Speaking of risk to reward, the market, and I was going to go to TLT, we're still hanging at that bottom, but the NASDAQ is now bouncing a little bit more. So I was just on Palantir because I was about to put a bid, but I got to go to Roblox. Broke that local top. Part of the issue I didn't want to give it to the high of the day is it's still going counter to the market. Like we're breaking down in treasuries. The market's not really curling just yet, so I'm going to get away from that one. When you take a look at the bigger picture, it's a good level, I think, this 31, but as it breaks further away from 31, like you're getting into this gap fill up here where patience would say, why not be waiting for 31.40? So I want to have relatively tight stops. It's the 31 level I'm looking to fail here, and if it doesn't fail at that price, I'm looking a lot higher up. Hampton's Trader, what an absolute beast. You know what the funny thing was? I should have said this during lunch money about a firm, because this morning, like we had... Like you got data on the consumer via retail, and it was complete hindsight when I made this observation. Obviously, I would have been long the stock today, but at that point, it's like, okay, well, you had the chips go to the downside. A lot of retail-ish type names made strong moves to the upside on the back of the strong consumer. So when I was looking at that 19 level on firm, and come to my chart here, like I waited patiently on the way up for a firm to grab the short off of 19. It was working back down. I got like 1875, and then it stopped out. And if I was really thinking about this, and like I'm admitting here that I wasn't, because at that point, like I was thinking big tech, you're thinking chips, that's just how it is. I wasn't really thinking about that number and why it could mean a squeeze through the other direction. So I had the level right and I got out, but that should have been an all-world reverse for those reasons. It's at 20. If you're wondering why I don't necessarily love the 20 short randomly, that's because the last time we were here, it got way above to 20.5. So this could easily go another couple of points, percentage points to the upside before it runs to that resistance on the daily. So strong move for a firm. really should have seen that one coming. A lot of times that's going to happen. Like you're going to have flash news come in that affected NVIDIA and the chips, and it deflects your attention into other places, which isn't always the wrong thing to do. But then suddenly a name which was on your radar, you're not giving it enough attention. I just said, I like short at 19, I short 19, it broke above there, I got out, and never really considered the ramifications of the number and why I should have maybe gone long on a firm. But it's a great call out. I mean, if somebody had it, congratulations. Like this is one of the strongest names in the market. We do have, he's always on time. It's like not even 2:45. You know what up? It's Frank.
He's about a minute late.
Okay, he's probably been waiting for us, so that's the other thing. Let's get to the desk with Brendan and Frank.
It's Frank Caberna time. It is Tuesday afternoon. We're going to get a look at not only what's happening today, Frank, as far as some of these yields are concerned, back to the upside in a big way, obviously. Multi-year highs coming into play here for. It's interesting compared to what we were talking about last week with the more longer-term side of things. It looks like it's 2-year that's doing most of the heavy lifting today as far as the yield is concerned anyways. But let's kick things off with a little bit of a chat as far as the overall market at an interesting spot here, and a lot of people have been discussing this over the past couple of days. We're in a bit of a confusing point, I guess, for the overall market, and there needs to be a decision made as far as direction is concerned. We have more data to coming up next week that could help that out, but you had your eye on gold here this afternoon as well.
Yeah, and this is a classic scenario, very similar to the start of 2020 and also the start of the recent inflation cycle, where there's fear in the market. The stock market is kind of shrugging it off, but there's a couple of things that just historically don't play out this way, which isn't to say that one thing has to be absolutely slammed in one direction or the other, but over the course of the coming weeks, as potentially could be as long as months, one of these things is likely not to stay the same. And gold is really what's looking to me like the outlier right now. Stocks bounce back, but gold really holding on to what was a huge rally last week and going into Friday's close. Brendan, I know I couldn't jump on at the end of last week because I was sick, but I would have loved to talk about some of the price action we were seeing at the end of last week. Rates moving lower, stocks moving lower, gold screaming higher. And now this week, a lot of that being undone except for gold. And these maybe these trends occur maybe in the short term. Like I say, you go back to the early days of the pandemic, stocks moving lower, gold moving higher, stocks bouncing back to all-time highs, and gold hanging around $2,000, eventually being leveled back down to $1,500, $1,600. But I'm definitely looking across all these markets, and then you throw in the fact that rates are back to their highs. We're seeing 10 years up more than 10 basis points here today across the curve, everything back to highs going back to 2007. And gold's still holding on to a lot of last week's rally. Now, it makes sense when you factor in the, of course, geopolitical risk abroad, and then the stock market, like I say, kind of shrugging that off. Maybe stocks in the U.S., at least at this stage in the Middle East strife that's going on, stocks bouncing back. You saw yesterday, even today, kind of shrugging off early in the day losses. The stock market saying, at least right now, what does this have to do with U.S. technology stocks that are the primary movers in the S&P and NASDAQ? But like I say, gold holding on to that fear abroad. And it makes me wonder, at what point will one of these give, and which one will it be? During the pandemic, it was that gold piece releasing like it did down to 1,600. Right now, it just doesn't seem sustainable, at least in the medium to long term, that stocks hold in, interest rates be at highs since 2007, and gold be be above $1,900, eyeing that $2,000 price, which is pretty much the high for the last 20, 30 years, essentially all time.
Yeah, and it's an interesting look coming off the move down. That very, very clear, V bottom almost that we saw in the chart there, and right back up, as you said, more than $100. So what do we point to here as far as what is to come next? And I want to get your take on, as you mentioned there, some of these yields back to multi-year highs again this afternoon. And we're hearing this narrative in the background kind of getting louder and louder and louder. For so long, we were talking about yields not participating with the language that was coming from the Fed, in the sense that the market just wasn't buying what they were saying, that the higher for longer argument was just not taking hold. Is it just the simple fact that we're playing a bit of catch up here, or is something else causing some of these moves that, let's be honest, may in the end have the Fed holding, not only coming up in November, but maybe into the end of the year?
Yeah, it definitely feels like that long end of the curve is playing catch up. I don't know if we're necessarily hearing or seeing anything. Today, maybe you could assign the strong retail sales, but I mean, for 10 years to be down a point, that's in the note price, to be up more than 10 basis points here today and be essentially ripping through those highs, it does feel like the curve is playing catch up a little bit. And we've talked about this throughout the inversion that we've been a part of for the last 2 years, has kind of been normalized in a way. But when the yield curve wants to move one way or the other towards inversion or towards normalization, it can really head that way in an unrelenting fashion. And I think we're seeing that right now, Brendan. It's not necessarily a news item. In fact, it feels like yields are driving the news across stocks in a lot of ways. You see so many stories assigning a move in NVIDIA and Amazon and Google, these technology stocks, to the movement in rates. It feels a lot of organic price action to me, especially when you're talking about treasury yields 5 years out, 10 years out, 30 years out. The Fed can't control, they can barely even influence those rates, as we saw throughout the hiking cycle, where you have them hiking up to 5% and beyond, in 10s and 30s, barely getting to 4%, letting you know that that long end of the curve really has a mind of its own. And right now, the fact that it's shrugging off economic slowdown in Asia and Europe, it's shrugging off this war going on in the Middle East and eyeing that 5% for 10s and 30s once again, means that it's really dead set on being higher for longer until we see any kind of semblance of U.S. economic data pointing in the deflationary direction. It just feels like this is the new normal for now.
And certainly that is not the case, as you mentioned there briefly, with the retail sales data this morning still pointing to all kinds of underlying strength coming from not only the retail sector, but the economy overall. Let's shift gears here and touch on more data to come, both in the UK and Europe, coming up later in this week. But then going into next week, we have some key data points I want to touch on as well. But tell us what we need to know here as far as the UK and Europe are concerned.
Yeah, low key, it'll be a kind of interesting end of the week here, as we have inflation coming from UK. We had Canadian inflation today that came in a little bit softer than expected. You saw a dollar really rally against Canada for this morning. Canada actually fought its way back. But yeah, UK inflation coming here this week, and they've been trending in the right direction, but almost too fast. And keep in mind that in Europe and in China, they're having a different problem than we're having here in North America, which is inflation tracking in the right direction, but too quickly. China and Japan have gone from higher than 2% inflation to deflation very quickly, and now they're worried about the same in the UK and Eurozone. So it'll be really interesting to see if this print comes in as expected at 6.6% from the UK, or comes in lower. I think if they do underperform that number, you'll one, see the instant reaction of dollars rallying against pounds, but two, you could see some spillover effect. The UK has been globally the second strongest economy amid everything the last 3 years to the US. And if they start to shift into potential deflationary fear like China and Japan have over the course of the last 6 to 12 months, you might see that spill over into the US a little bit coming off that number. Similar with the Euro area inflationary data that's set to come out. They're a little bit lower in terms of inflation as a whole than the UK is. But we've seen a similar notion in Europe as in China, which is tracking in the right direction, yes, but too quickly. You'll remember that I think it was the most recent inflation flash number from the Euro area that gives you a little bit of semblance of what to expect for their headline inflation number, which is what we're going to get in the next couple of days, came in way lower than expected, and the euro got absolutely demolished off of that number. And the fear started to set in that, yeah, the economy in the euro area might not just be set for a soft landing, they might be set for a crash landing. And so for the time being, the US data has been very different than it has been in Asia and Europe. But you might see coming off of that number, if it is in the south direction, a spillover effect into US markets and US equities. On the flip side, of course, they can reverse trend. We just haven't seen it in the most recent readings.
Yeah, it's funny to see those charts. 6.7% looks so tiny at the bottom of that chart, coming from 11, obviously, well off the highs, but still 6.7% is still a lot as far as inflation rate is concerned. One of those weeks when we get one of those random Fed Chair Powell appearances coming up on Thursday. This is a yearly event, correct me if I'm wrong, the Brookings event. But one of those times where it's in the middle of the day, obviously the equity market going to be open, anything can happen.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be opened up for a Q&A session. So it'll be real. And also Lagarde is speaking this week. And of course, these are some of the maybe last people whose opinions you might care about in terms of the goings on in the Middle East. But in terms of markets and how markets interpret the goings on in the Middle East, if they shed any light on feeling fearful or wanting to potentially have rate cuts on the table, given geopolitical risk, which they have put on the table in the past, you might see markets really move on an event like this. And like I say, Lagarde also speaking for the European Central Bank. I'm not quite sure what her event is, but either way, you have, not only just Fed speakers, but the Fed chairperson and central bank head for the European Central Bank speaking here this week. You're going to see some shifts not only in Forex markets, but across interest rates and probably equities as well. As to my earlier point, it seems like a lot of the movement in equities is being pushed and pulled by, one, the Israeli-Hamas war, but two, yields in general hitting highs, coming off of highs. And so those events are going to be, I think, huge to see, one, if there's any commentary around that geopolitical risk, or two, if they don't even mention it and Fed Chair Powell comes out hawkish on the idea of, yeah, maybe we pause, which is what the market is expecting, but we're set to stay here at 5% for not only 2024, but maybe beyond. That's what the market is really trying to price in right now. Is this 5% thing going to be just the next 6 months or 12 months thing, or is this the new normal for the next several years? It'll be, I think, his last speech before the quiet period going into the November 1 FOMC. So kind of an underrated end of week here in terms of not necessarily data, but speakers coming from central bank heads.
It's interesting. I was just double checking. It's actually in New York that he's going to be speaking, but 12 o'clock. So we'll see what comes from that. it's going to be an interesting week. Obviously, we are 2 weeks and a day away from November 1st, which is obviously the next announcement that we'll get from Fed Chair Powell. Coming up next week, we get GDP, we get the latest PCE action. I think both could possibly be, very key as far as what is going to transpire the week after. Then, if you had to pick maybe between those two, PCE I think is Friday, and GDP in the middle of the week, or it's typically in the middle of the week. Which one do we pay more attention to?
I mean, you want to go with inflation at this point, but man, it seems like every event we try to focus on ends up being front run by another event. Remember, it was non-farm a couple weeks ago, but the JOLTS number earlier in the week is the one that was really important. So, I mean, who's to say? We're seeing huge moves today off of retail sales, which hasn't really been a top 2 or 3 number on a monthly basis. So I want to go with PCE. If Fed Chair Powell was talking to us right now, he would say PCE, but whatever number gives us any kind of wacky print is going to be the relevant number. So we're in a thankful position, Brendan, as people who, trade this stuff, talk about this stuff. Everything's on the table at this point. You got to watch all of it.
Lunchtime at Wednesday, or lunchtime on Wednesday, I should say, will be interesting time for the overall market ahead of, as you said, the quiet period then to come next week. So they'll get them all out of the way, hopefully by the end of this week, and then we can have some peace and quiet next week. So great stuff. Frank Caberna, Director of Strategy over at IG.com in Chicago. We appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Brian.
I like that. Peace and quiet when you don't have the big heads talking during lunchtime. But look, anything that moves the market is going to be fantastic. If you were hoping for the Frank Caberna pump in the market that sometimes has been the case, it didn't happen here. So I feel like it's been at least 2 or 3 instances since we've had a push up when Frank has talked. And it's always just a coincidence when it happens. I was stopped out of Roblox. It made this wick high into 31.20, then put in the same resistance at 31.25. So I see that it sets right back up again for the short at 31.10. It breaks 31 even. I just got 30.90s. I'm now looking for VWAP as the market is heading back into the downside. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm going to get out of this Neo. It's just not doing anything. But if it doesn't break support, no point. Might as well just get on the offer. Next time it's above or bouncing off VWAP, I should just take whatever fill I get because Chinese ADRs aren't moving that much. Neil, it happened. Just reverse your chart. Fair enough. Maybe it's not that Frank bounces the market. Maybe it's that Frank reverses the market. I don't know.
I'm going to throw something out there.
I don't know.
It has nothing to do with Frank.
What? So it's all just
I don't know.
So it's all just a joke that we love having fun with? It doesn't actually matter? No, it can't actually be possible.
Maybe, but we are never going to give
Obviously.
them up. That is for sure. But yeah, nice move to the downside right now as things just start to break, man. We broke below VWAP here on the futures, and I believe that's part of it, right? A march down here into 15.2. We've been talking about 15.2 all day. We were talking about it on the way up. Here it comes into play one more time back into the bottom. So yeah, it's not unfortunate for me. We've done really well here into this, as you could see right now. Meta's the big one for me. Now $3 in the money. That just continues to go. It actually touched 321, almost flat there, 321.10. I'm waiting for lower. I mean, this market can get a heck of a lot lower than this. We were much lower earlier today. Sure, it's a good move down. There's no doubt about it. But we are going to wait to see if we can do some damage on that one. And then, of course, why I go back to Amazon, this is what I mean. I definitely have to probably see a trading psychologist or something like this because, into the worst name here, we were able to make some money. We bought it because it came back into VWAP. So, again, I tried to do, my BAC talk here where I said, the next time, first of all, I'm trying to get more 80s. Where can I get filled on that 80 fill? Please, one second here. I'm sure I'm going to get it right now. We're going to get out if it drops below this little wick right there. But I saw it make that move down. We saw, obviously, I just talked as if I don't get picked up there at 80. That's okay. But anyways, we see that move down right there. We have that bottom wick at 73, 74. We're going to try to hold this until a break back below that. And then I just thought that, hey, if the market rebounds, maybe we could get something here on Amazon back up to the upside. So we did. We got an 05 there. So we went, what am I long here? So 10 cents. So we only made 10 cents on this. Not really that great. There was no more moves back up to the upside. So right now, look at this Rivian trade, man. We're 30 cents in the money on Rivian. This is another one. This is literally the high of the day there on Rivian as we're barcoding now. So hopefully that will break. Lucid was barcoding for a while here as well. That broke, and now you can see again, high of the day, low of the day. This is probably a good spot to get out of Lucid. So I don't even have a stop order out. So let's just put one out for right here. Yeah, I mean, maybe just breaking 5. I mean, if breaking 5 isn't that much more dramatic than where we are right now. But let's just make sure we keep the money in the pocket. So 4, yeah, I'm not even going to put an order out for that one. Intel, again, man, you know.
Awesome.
We waited for Intel. Now it's back near its lows as well for the session right here, the afternoon. We've already come back into that level. So we wait for this huge move up on Intel and then just fade it. And then boom, right there. Now you're coming back in. This is probably a decent out right now for Intel at this level. Look, I mean, if the market continues to go down, we've sort of made our bed here, and we are lying in it with all these shorts. So let's just, you know, congratulate ourselves, you know, win on some of these trades. We've already seen this level before, so let's get out on Intel. We can try to hold the rest. But right there, Intel 35.80, it's 40 cents. We should take that. So I'm going to put a bid right now. What does the level look like? Yeah, it's okay. Here it comes in even lower. Yeah, I mean, I think we just take this out. It's been a good move down. We just congratulate and you know, take a little bit of money here for this trade. So if any of you guys are following me on Intel, there's the banger for you off that top of the day and right back into a level. So, you know, we got to be flat in an hour. So I gotta start taking some out.
Speaking of which, let's handle some business because I just saw. Thank you for the super chat. OJ's White Bronco, great name. You had me there. Great football player. The rest, maybe not so much. Half decent actor. I'll take the Frank bump over the inverse Kramer. Okay, I think the Frank bump's more fun. I'm going to agree with that one 100%, but we forgot to mention something. While Frank was on, there was this move in U.S. Bank Corp, and I'm going to read the headline for you. Shares higher after the company reportedly announced the Federal Reserve will not require the company to meet Category 2 requirements by December 31st, 2024. It had this bump. It's already pulled right back in there. So up 6% is USB. Pretty decent breakout on the daily at 33. I doubt we get a retrace to that price. When I zoomed out on this, let me just zoom in again. When I zoom out, meaning I went to the daily chart, coming back in, it does look like 33.5 to 34 could be a nice little bump spot if it is going to pull back in to the downside. But that's the reason for the volume spike. I don't know if you get back in retesting that 34. It's already bounced off it once. Maybe it can bounce off that again. I think that's a pretty strong maybe. Palantir, you just couldn't get to VWAP, could you?
Oh, no.
I mean, VWAP is a line on a chart. Like, really could have just made... Yeah. Oh, that's frustrating.
Market going here.
This was close. This was close to getting... Anyways, doesn't really matter. Like, sometimes you're looking for it to pull. It bounced literally off VWAP the first time. So the second time I'm thinking it's just going to do the same thing because the market's trending down. But it's now made a bounce. No need to be sitting on the bid because it's already made this bounce. I do think this is something worthy of a long. But yeah, that was a bit of a turn out of nowhere. The market was trending back down. And suddenly, you think you're going to get these fills at VWAP. And next thing you know, you're going back to the upside. I got to check in on Roblox, because do I want to reload? Probably a yes. I'm not giving up the notion on that yet, but that's frustrating. Like, that was pennies away from giving a fill. Yeah, I'll probably reload Roblox. The market's bouncing a little bit. Roblox is holding this lower high. That's enough weakness that if it gets back up above 31, I'll take those fills, but still trending to the downside. Dang, I thought that was like the one long that I wanted was going to be Palantir, and it doesn't even get to VWAP there, and then the market decides to do whatever the heck that just was.
Yeah. You know, that's the whole thing about why we were talking about VWAP before. We had Adara on the recap show, And I was talking with her, and because she had just started trading literally 3 weeks ago, and we were talking a little bit about charts and reading and this and that, and I said, you know what, just put up VWAP, because at least that'll give you a generic sort of reason to buy or sell, and then you can start to read some levels and then sort of complicate your charts from that point forward. So that was a good question about 20 or so minutes ago. And the reason why I bring that up right now is because look at this. I mean, there it is again.
Oh my God.
We were talking, I mean, you guys saw, we took the fill down there at 130.80. I mean, we were literally watching it together. And then it just came back up, and there it is, man, 25.30 cents. We took a bunch out as we ripped up again. I still want to hold on to the rest of this in case maybe we've seen the bottom again, because now you're above VWAP and now you're going to try to go. I do have an offer at 09s again to see if we can make about 30 cents. And then higher than that, we have one at 15, just ahead of where this 50-period moving average is. And then we'll go from there. And then in the sad state of events, we'll take $3 or so on this meta trade because it took the 50-period moving average. So it took it. It did. Again, the reason why I'm saying it's sad is that we had it all the way down here. Actually, that would have been $3, so about $2.50. Down there at 321 flat would have been about 330 or so. It doesn't really matter, but we've seen that a couple times. We probably should have got out of it. Look at this, now it's coming back in. I just played that as a break of VWAP, a break of the 50 period in the market, and then a break of the 50 period here on Meta. So, you know, I've looked back at these trades and been like, oh man, like why did I get out? Maybe I should have reversed. But I'm still actually pretty negative on this market right now, which is why, you know, when something goes into the money, just like this, couple pennies, you know, definitely worth taking a little bit of that out. Intel, can we do it any better? I don't know. That's the bottom tick right there for Intel. So top and bottom of the afternoon there on Intel. So that's pretty good. Let's just see if it will continue to have a little bit of luck here into the close. Really, the only position that I'm worried about would be Amazon than anything else, because this is a newer one, so we do have the most amount of shares on this trade. I'll probably hold Google. We're pretty light on this. And then Lucid. We've talked about maybe getting out if it breaks 5. We probably do that. And then SWN went all the way to 40, guys. It went all the way to 41, 42, giving us, again, quite a nice return on this trade. But we're waiting to see if Chesapeake and these guys can get it all sorted out. Maybe we hear more details. We're already out of 80% of it. There's 4 outs right here. So like I said, man, Amazon, here we go. Hopefully this can go back up to the upside as we just add on. We now have 125 fills now on Amazon with at least 2 more pending, hopefully to the upside. So, hey, look, we got out of our shorts and flipped over to a long. So
TLT's breaking up.
TLT's breaking up. We could actually probably check out, hold on a second, let me check the dollar quickly right now. So the dollar making a move back down, which is going to be good for some of these tech names, as well as the dollar making a move back in. So this could be good. Let's hold on to this Amazon long right now, and hopefully you guys are printing with me. There it is, a little bit of fire action. What you got?
I was just going to say, like, sorry, US Bank Corp is making a run there. I was looking for a dip into VWAP there, but TLT was what I wanted to get to. It's making this break back through 85. So that had, like, the turn the market this morning, and you're already getting a bounce off 15.2. I jumped over to wet the old beak in Palantir because if I like this to the long side, then I want longs into VWAP on the way in. It looks relatively strong. I mean, it's been trending up pretty much all day. So I just grabbed something at 77. I'll add to it if we get down to VWAP, but until we get there, got to start to respect it. That is when you see a turn like that, and it has been an indicator before, I'm going to want to respect that. And it also means for Roblox, I don't necessarily want to be adding again. I thought I hit cancel. There we go. Now I'll hit cancel on it. If it gets back up to the top, let's see how it reacts when it gets to this double top. I'm respecting the fact that this was a good double top, nice little wick high. If I can see something roll over, if I see an indication of a rollover, then I jump back into it. But I don't want an offer just sitting out in the ether to possibly get run over, and we'll see what happens there. I mean, if you're looking at Tesla, and sometimes, like Tesla is relatively strong today. For Tesla, this isn't a heck of a lot of movement. I mean, this looks like, 50 cents worth of a range here in the last 30 minutes or so. but Tesla is still holding above that 254. If we are headed back up and we hold on to 85 TLT, hold on to 15.2 NASDAQ, Tesla holding this green. Green is 253.92. That's why I'm saying 254. It's essentially the same thing. As long as it holds on to this, I think it has a chance to get back into those highs. Hampton's Trader, I'm watching that affirm too, and it's like 20. Of course, when I'm like, I want it above 20, the short, like 20 is exactly where the short ends up being. But I'm looking for it above this 20 level into 2025. And if the market's going to bounce here, I might just have to patiently wait. Could run out of time. We have to be out at the end of the day, flat at the end of the day of our positions. So I might not get a chance to trade off of these levels on a firm. But as good as the 20 just was, my plan was to wait for these fills back at last week's highs, unfortunately. So good luck to you on that 20 short. Hopefully there's some weakness in Roblox and some strength in Palantir here. Just keep an eye on that TLT. Like, that caused the market turn this morning. If it's another one, we could be headed back up, at least retesting some of these highs. If we were to end green today on the NASDAQ, I wouldn't be terribly surprised. But remember, it's not just the NASDAQ at some resistance. The ES is trying to battle 4,400 as well. So you got a lot of things working against it. You have the banks, which are on resistance and have been weak. So financials have not been participating in this part of the rally. Although BAC is trying. Maybe this BAC 2750 now that I call that back up. Yeah, you wait for VWAP, but 2750 has been the level on BAC here.
Yeah, we should have. Should still be short that 27,985, whatever the heck that went up to. Yeah, thanks, Nightbot. Yeah, make sure you do check the market recap show. All right, so honestly, this is just stopping at O's pretty much every time. The highest it's getting to is 02, which I think we either have an 02 or an 03 print. And I'm just talking about, I have an 03 print, so I'm just talking about Amazon. I just got out right now at O's for another piece. My next offer is not till 15. So we're going to wait for this 50-period moving average, which is at 16. So we'll wait to see. A little bit of a bump up is something that we're willing to take on Amazon. Other than that, it's going to have to break the bottom for me to get out. It could be a short from here, 100%. We're already out of 35% of this trade already. So we will wind up losing if it does take the bottom, but for now we're going to wait on that and see if it is the bottom or not at some point. Breaking through 50 here, I'm pretty sure I was going to get out of the rest of this Google if it takes it. I do want to hold on just in case we do make that move to the downside. I'd hate to get out of Google and not be able to get filled on that Amazon trade, which now Amazon's finally starting to go. So there's the 10s, the 9s. We came close to getting that. I don't know where we got to there, but that got to 11s or 12s. Hopefully it can get back up. We just missed that print, but that's what we want to do. We want to try to hold on to some of these just in case. Lucid, still the same story. What else you guys want to do?
Just a bit outside.
Intel, just a bit outside. Intel right now with a nice out as well. Let's look at something else. Let's look at NVIDIA. I know we've been looking at a lot of chip names here, but just for fun, as NVIDIA is always fun to watch. Backing up to 440 again right now. And look at this move down. Now it's trying to make that move down. We bounced off 437. The low of the day is a lot lower than this because of what happened earlier. So that was 424, 425. Beautiful move back. When you make such a dramatic move back, I would rather wait for the 200 period. What time is it? Oh, it's only 3:18. There's a lot of opportunity left in this day. So watch out for maybe this, a retracement back to 442. But what does that mean for AMD right now? Because I'm already out of AMD. So we just got out of AMD there, which kind of sucks off that 106. AMD still bouncing around 104.30. We got out at 105.20. So that was really bad because we did make a lower move there on advanced micro devices. This name is definitely a short. It's too bad that we have. But again, you got to set your stops. I could say it's too bad, but I'm the one putting the key out, right? So, definitely VWAP, possibly a short if AMD takes this level, 104.35. I could see myself shorting AMD there on a break of 104.35, and then you just kind of play off of here, 104.50, 104.70 maybe for some downside pressure. And then if the market really does puke on itself, then maybe we get, again, like a 104.30. He takes them out 103.50 is a great trade, and you don't have to take as much risk on that. So I like this play. Let's see if it can work for us. Nice little short if it does come through. I would like the market to rip back up, but we'll see what happens here. We're short Lucid, Rivian, Google. SWN is just playing around with that one. And then Amazon, we've already sort of talked about that. I don't know if it's going to get going or not.
Thank you, Chad, for the super chat here. $5. We appreciate you. We appreciate you for sure. NUVL pricing of public offering. Have a lot of puts from the highs a couple of weeks ago. Will this make it continue to go down usually, or should a person sell? So the thing about any kind of, like obviously something like that's obviously working for you, but you have to consider what the overall chart is usually telling you. When I look at something like that, like you get news on what has already been a downward move, okay, well, where did it go to? On a stock which is breaking out to the upside, it just bounced off 50, which is exactly the previous high from October, from August 1st, that 50 level. So it broke out from there. You're gonna have the pricing of the offering. I mean, it's bouncing off of this 50 level like 3 or 4 times. Again, when you get into a trade, you should have your own risk parameters. When I see this, it's also SSR, short sell restricted, so it could be bouncing because of that as well. But when you're in the money, you should have an idea of where you want to take profit. Just technically speaking, for something like that on news, to basically fill the gap right back into 50, that's the logical level for an initial bounce. It also happens to be down more than 10% for an SSR bounce as well. Mike's asking, can you look at Chewy? Oh, I just ate. Do you really want me to look at that stock? I just had like a bunch of candy. I don't want to be like puking everywhere. Oh, it's up today. Okay. Well, I mean, AMC's up today. So Chewy having a good day. Why not?
Well, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, eventually these things go to the upside. Wow, I didn't really. Okay, I don't know why Chewy's up today. Let's just call it a relief rally. For whatever reason.
There's always a short float. Let me see.
Yeah, it's got to be still pretty decent.
Oh no, it's 20 something.
Yeah, Sean's gonna look up the short float.
Oh no, 17. Okay.
17% is not what it used to be. So let's just say it's getting a relief rally. Maybe some shorts are covering in here into an absolute brick wall at $19. So that is a brick wall at 19. I seriously doubt in the next 30 minutes you get there. If we were to get there, like I'd be wanting to trade that level short. I mean, why would you, like you get here, like why would you not want to fade 19s on Chewy as a trade? I don't know why this is not filling in more, but that's just missing data. Yeah, good look for Chewy. Thanks for pointing it out, Mike. Etsy has been on fire, but I got to go back over to RBLX, which last I checked is Roblox. Still Roblox. It's coming right back into our entry level.
Intraday,
no, they haven't messed up with it. Okay. It's, you know what the problem is? I'm typing it out to make sure that I don't screw up. I always put Roblox.NQ, so I'm sitting there making sure I get it right, looking at it in the drop down so that I get the symbol correct. It's a bad habit of mine. Like it's Roblox. It is tech. It's growth. It's 4 letters long, so in my mind, it's a NASDAQ stock. And that has not been true. I feel like they changed that rule 10 years ago, and I have yet to adapt to it. So back in the day, all NYSE symbols were 3. Stocks were 3 letters, and NASDAQ was 4, and that hasn't been true for a decade, and I still kind of screw that up every single time, so that's me. But I am going to do the reload on. We're slowing down here at that previous high, so I'm going to reload Roblox here. If we take out the top, then I get out of it. That's pretty much it. There is some strength coming into this market. I did grab Palantir long, and you know what? This could be a good chance to just get wherever the hell NEO goes out. So lower highs into NEO. It just cannot seem to break far enough away from this 850 level. Again, it just keeps challenging the same level and does not want to continue. So I'm just going to get it all out here in the 50s, high 50s if I can.
I keep on hitting the little thing underneath my chair here, so I feel like I'm getting lower and lower here. Okay, so Amazon right now, we just take it out. The 50 period came up here, so we'll go spin the little money thing here. As here we go again. Like, I just hope that some of you traders are you don't have to be following all the trades that I'm putting on here or anything like that, but we did talk about this Amazon trade, and there it is, 30 cents. So we now have less than half left, as we got a piece out at 131, unfortunately, and then we did get another piece out right there at 10s. So nice move to the upside there on SWN as I was watching that. That's not doing anything. On Amazon, so we talked about that, and we wanted that one to be in our pocket a little bit there. So that is definitely a nice little runner here. Oh yeah, let's go Amazon. Keep it going, baby. 131.40. I just put an offer there. 131.30. right now into this little area. And again, you know, you're going to look back, and when Amazon's at like 132.50, I'm going to be like, why did I get out up here? But I know why. These levels just kept on bouncing its head against it. So we're going to take a piece out when it comes up and then try to hold for something a little bit bigger. And I consider right now 131.20 or 131.30 to be a pretty decent trade. If we can get 50 cents on a move back upside, we'll do that, especially on a stock that we are red on here today. So, all right, so we'll continue to watch out for Amazon. Again, nothing in Lucid, nothing in Rivian. And then I've sort of left Meta because I don't want to look at it anymore. It has made its move down, but I still think that that was a decent out on the 50 period. It just hovered around. I could have used 50, then I would have got stopped out even worse. So we'll take it out there at 25 as now it's trying to fade back just a little bit. Boo, boo Meta. Hopefully that can hold out a little bit for us again. The TQs have been a great trade one more time here today as we traded the futures early, hit some good shorts, and then got out of the way when the long happened. So again, this was really good for us on the NASDAQ. And again, we were just trying to short like 15.4s and things like that, and then eventually it started to come through. Okay, so now we're starting to move on Amazon. Here we go again, guys. Trying to do this a little bit. We're now 40 cents in the money. I can't make the stock go up $5. Hopefully it does from here, and then we'll see. But I don't know. We're going to get out at 131.30 if it continues to do this move here, a little bit higher for Amazon. Again, I hope that you guys saw this trade with me. There it is. Oops, there it is right here. Some bottom picks right into here, right at VWAP, and then right again underneath. Let's go. Then a little bit underneath as well. So here we go, man. We're 40 cents in the money now. Take it if you want. I'm going to wait for 30s.
So I'm going to come back to the chat, not for what you guys are talking about, because I just saw something in here that I wanted to address. Chris RML in the chat said, hardly understand one word in 3, saying I probably shouldn't be here. I disagree. You're exactly where you need to be. Now, understandably, Sean and I have been trading for a very long time. We're talking shop. We're going to be able to say things really fast because we know what's in our heads and we're going to get it out there. But there's no such thing as a bad question. We have the best community out there. If you need clarification on something, we just explain what VWAP is, or fading a level, shorting off of a resistance level. When we say fade, we mean going short off of a top. Again, layering out, taking multiple fills to get out of position. There's lots of things we can explain. It's just a matter of, for us, it's just a force of habit to be able to talk really quickly and easily. We got a great community. You're going to get a lot of support out there. And as for the other thing that a couple of you guys are talking about, I was asked what my favorite Taylor Swift song was. I can honestly tell you, I don't want to just say like the first one that comes to mind because that would be cheap. I'd have to look at a few names and then remember which ones stick out in my head. I just don't know it well enough. And if we got 10,000 likes, would I sing one of them? This is actually true. None of you guys remember this. I already said if it was like 42.69 or something like that. It was like a 420 reference, and I would sing Mary Jane by Rick James because I freaking love Rick James. But yeah, I don't know about Taylor Swift. I don't even know any of the songs really. Like I know a few. Like I know like Shake It Off is one, but I just know like because it's super famous. I'm willing to bet if you played a bunch for me, I'd say, oh no, that's the one. That's the one I like the most. I just don't know them by name. I'm not really a Swiftie or anything like that. Is what it is. Palantir bouncing off VWAP. I should have had this at 70s, but I had to chase it a little bit here in the mid 70s. It is getting to this 1785 and sort of cresting a little bit. So as long as we're going to be range bound, then you want to play the range. It was also a question about why is it range bound? Like why is the market so range bound? A lot of times this is just the market goes in cycles. Right now we're in a cycle where the afternoons tend to play in a range. You'll see this almost every single day. So it's just more along the lines of observe the trend and be ready to scalp trade and take like those smaller ones. Like you look at what happened. It's going on to Friday, like you had a tight consolidation despite the fact that it dropped like an absolute rock. You go the day before, and again, you don't have as much follow through at the end of the day. Yesterday, sort of the same thing. Like you had this bar coding at the end of the day. There's still movement, but it's just the big move happens early, and then you get like a lunchtime, sometimes a reverse, but then everything else is a little bit more condensed going into the end of the session. And when that's the case, you have to temper your expectations. Palantir moved from $17 to $18. It's not moving from 1770 to 1870 this afternoon. Like that's not, okay, that's 99.9% chance that's not happening because that's not the way the market moves in the afternoon. It's just not going to go another dollar up. It's going to be a small trade. That's how the market goes. I did reload Roblox. Again, short off of this level, 31.15 in here. When it breaks 31, I'm looking for outs in the 30.90s. As we have less than 1 minute till we get the early look on the imbalances, I'm suspecting, I mean, it's been a nothing burger, the early look most times, so I'm probably going to be a little bit of a nothing burger again here today. We'll see. You never really know. Then we get 350 when the actual imbalances come up. But the early look at times can move the market. I'm not really expecting too much here.
We just, yeah, no. Well, who knows? It doesn't really matter till 350, like Neil mentioned there anyways. The early look will come as it is, and then hopefully we won't see too much of a dramatic change here. So by the way, remember when I said I was at 130, 130? It went to 29. Like, honestly, we should have had a tick up here. And then see, when it drops back down, this is why it sucks. Man, you know what I mean? It's a cruel summer, if you know what I'm saying out there, guys. As this move...
Yeah, I know that's a...
I'm here. But anyways, that's cruel right there. Hopefully it comes back up. I'm now waiting at 25s. So 24. If it comes back up to the upside there, we will get some more out as we give our exact level, and it stops at us on a dime. So hopefully that'll come back in there as it comes up. We'll see. Hopefully it does do that for Amazon. And here he goes, man. Hopefully 50 cents. That's what we're waiting for. We just missed it, literally by a penny, which sucks. Hopefully that'll come back in one more time for us on that one. SWN trying to go again. Let's look for something else. Softy, what about SoFi? Everybody always wants to talk SoFi, so we could do a little bit of SoFi action right now. Oh, no, we cannot. It's not doing anything. This is what SoFi looks like, so we will do pretty hard pass on that one. But if you guys are into SoFi, $9. I mean, that's been a really good level there. Need to break that. Like, this is probably a great trade, a break of like 9.15 if that can ever come in there. We would definitely like it when you sort of, I mean, we're not really barcoding at the bottom, so maybe it wouldn't be great. It'd be really nice if you kind of go backwards and then snap its neck and break higher. A good example of that is when I got into Airbnb. I don't even know what Airbnb's price is right now. We can have a quick look. Oh, all the way down to 126. Like, this was a good example of the kind of trading that I like right here. So it actually was all the way down into here, where you kind of barcode. No, was it right into here? No, it wasn't the first time up. I thought it was, well, it's a little bit longer than I thought down here. But you see where you go back and forth here? You go back and forth like $5, $5, $5, and then you take this. At that time, the 50 period was a little bit lower than where it is right now. But then you take that level and go back up to the upside. So that's obviously SoFi's. Doesn't look exactly like this, but it's kind of like back and forth, back and forth. Uber, I think, was a good example of that. Near 4, was it near 40? Or I think it might have been a little bit lower than that on Uber, where you kind of just go back and forth. Brendan just gave it to us, 46 million to sell, so boom. It's absolutely nothing. And my daily chart doesn't appear to be working too much there on Uber. Okay, yeah, so it is going to be down here. So you see what happens right here? So this is a good example of what I was trying to get at with SoFi, where you go back and forth, you're not really doing anything, and then all of a sudden you break this 33, which was the daily high. It had earnings, so it had juice to go, and then the rest, as they say, is history, back up there to the upside. So if we're going to look at SoFi one more time, it's trying to do that. Let's go this way. So again, it's trying to give us a little bit of a base here, but again, you dip down pretty far down into $7. So 7 to 9 is already a pretty huge move. We'd like to see it kind of hang out here around 8, then take that 9.15, then boom it back up there to the upside. So that's the kind of trade for SoFi. But I like this, man. If this can break 9, 9, 10, I think one day that would be real cool when that came through. And just to double check, it's going to need some sort of a reason to do it. I feel like SoFi's late all the time. October 30th.
Oh, they're net. Wait a minute.
You got 2 weeks, man. And then we'll see what happens with SoFi. Nice to see a good short float on this one. This could be one that pops. The banks are obviously coming out pretty good.
Will it be a trick or treat? Oh.
I'm hoping a little bit of both.
I like SoFi at these levels. I'm not going to lie. So if I had to pick. I know a few people on the floor actually own this. I don't own SoFi on my long-term account. There's a few people that I know that do, so I'm going to root for that 10 times out of 10, even if I don't have a stake in it. Shout out to you, Eyes Up. Thank you for the super chat. That's why I'm assuming you meant I. That's why I watch you guys. All I trade is Forex, but I feel the good vibes in just a genuine way you treat each other. I think the zen I get from that is why I'm up this month. Cheers. So I got a question for you. If you're a Forex trader, what did you do to the Canadian dollar today? Okay, fine, it's U.S. Obviously, it's the U.S. dollar that matters in that equation.
Yeah.
But wow, Shout out to all the Forex traders out there. Not something, we actually have it at Day Trade the World, so I can pull up a quote. You will not see me trade it because I'm not a Forex trader. But yeah, it's the good thing about, and this is from what I know about Forex traders that I talk to, like some of the technical things that you can look at for trading strategies can still apply. You got to stay up all hours of the night for it. I think our percentages don't work when we pull up our chart. I think that's
no, it must not be.
And you can see that there actually has been some volatility in CAD USD. I just pulled that up for what's and giggles. There, didn't want to say the other thing, but again, this is what this community is about. Like, you can learn a heck of a lot. We have futures traders out there. We have some people that trade crypto. We have a lot of options traders, even though we're just trading primarily equity. Just a couple of updates. If we can get to 18, I'm out of Palantir. I don't know if we got that juice because the market's starting to roll back over again because it's range bound, and that's what it's been doing. And now for some reason I typed in NYMEX for Roblox. That's just me hitting enter too fast. That's rolling back over. Was able to get a reload tight to that 31.15 area. So we got 11s. I think we got to take something out if we get back underneath that 31. There's Martin Currency, futures trader here. Well, that's an interesting, I would have guessed, obviously by your name, Martin Currency, that you would have been a Forex trader. But shout out to you. You'll like Dan Emmons in our chat. He talks about the futures all the time. Trade some levels there. Sharice looks at it as well. So glad to see it. Bert Lee, you trade futures. That's what it's all about. We can all look at these things. Because I think if you're looking at whether it's a futures, equity, volatility you could be looking at here, it's all the same type of idea. You want to look risk to reward. You want to play trend, all that good stuff. The trend had reversed, but you're still working on a bounce off this 15.2 area. So as much as I like the direction that we've been going to that southbound side, I don't know if we're going to get that follow through. With only 20 minutes to go, we're actually running out of time for this to roll back over. Kind of thought we'd be doing that already, but it's not seeming to happen here yet.
No, the only trade that's been pretty cash here has been this Amazon one for me to the upside right now. And yeah, welcome. Hopefully we'll be able to trade some more futures together as this was about, I think at its maximum was like 30 handles there on the TQs as we shorted that pop in the NASDAQ early. If you guys were part of this trade, you probably know, and that was a good one. Definitely banked out there back into the 50, into the 200. This was the only futures trade that we had on there today, and I don't think Sharif had one, but maybe he did on the midday show. I don't think so, but there it is right there. That's the only thing. Would have, should have, could have, would have at 15.4 there on the NASDAQ. That could have been a play as well. Came in, but again, 15.480 coming in. We actually didn't get to 15.4 today. We got to 15.3. Well, that's yesterday, right? The 16th. Yeah, that's yesterday. So today we got to 15, basically 15.309. I guess what I was looking for was 15.3, not 15.4 today. So a nice little pullback. I still think we can look at this pretty soon. I would see with tech earnings coming through. I think there's a lot of people nervous about tomorrow's big day. It is a big one, man. We have Tesla coming through tomorrow. I was actually just looking at it as we get ready for our market recap show there today. This is what's coming through tomorrow. Tesla aftermarket close. So it's small market cap, only $800 billion.
Tiny.
And then Procter & Gamble tomorrow as well at 350. ASML, we talked about that. That's tomorrow. Abbott Labs, we talked about that with the GLP-1s. That's tomorrow. Netflix is tomorrow. Morgan is tomorrow. Lam Research is tomorrow. US Bank Corp is tomorrow. As we go on, even LVS down here is tomorrow as well. The NASDAQ is also tomorrow. So there's lots happening into that. So we'll see what does come through. But tomorrow, if you're wondering about if there's anything happening tomorrow, I think we just said that enough coming through. So a lot of good names hitting tomorrow. But today, we'll analyze some bank stocks. I have a bunch of things to talk about, some cool graphics to hit as well. Let's go, man. We'll spin it one more time here. As you guys can see the trades that we've put on quite clear. There goes, that's AMD. No. We are out of AMD, of course. There goes Amazon, the name that we called on that dip buy. So there it is, man. Put our money where our mouth is. Amazon, nice move back up to the upside. This time, like a rip to 50, 45, I think we got to get another piece out. So 131, this time we'll wait for it, 131.40. There it is right there, my order's in.
There you go, and don't wait for tomorrow Today, you can join the campus program at Day Trade the World. Now, you see us trading every single day on a prop floor. It is with Day Trade the World. That is the platform we are using. And what is this program, you ask? Well, it's a free, I'm going to start with, it is a free program where you can trade real money and gain real experience. You have to be, currently you want to be in Canada to be able to do it, but I'm going to go through the structure very quickly. Anybody can scan that QR code and hit the website, but just start out learning about the markets, the fundamentals. We were just talking about learning the basics. That's what you get in this program. You're going to be able to understand the market, have a few exams, then you learn about this platform, which is P Pro 8 that every trader at Day Trade the World trades on. It's proprietary to the company. It's a fantastic platform for quick executions. You will be in there understanding how level 2 works, all that good stuff. And then you get to go into TMS, which is the simulator. Once you're in that simulator, you get one-on-one coaching. You'll be in there for about a month. You get a certificate at the end of completion, and then you get to where everyone wants to be, and that's trading live. You have the ability to work this into a trading a funded account. So that is down the line, but you got to put in that time and effort. It's about a minimum 8 hours a week, but 16 hours a week is the request. It's flexible in terms of being able to have part-time, so you can have a side gig while you're doing this. And as I said, it is free. You just got to put that time and effort. Don't hesitate to apply. I think it's a fantastic opportunity. Trading is hard enough when you're doing it on your own. Getting some guidance certainly can help. And I think this is a good program. Check out that QR code below. Do you have what it takes? It starts on November 6th, right in the middle of earnings season. It's a good time to jump in and learn these markets. So get those applications in today. Unfortunately, as we always say, not available in the United States. But for everyone else out there, let us know. You want to be in Canada for this, but the more requests they get, the quicker something like this will expand. Going right back over, I'm just gonna get out now flat on Neo. We have 10 minutes to go till we get the imbalances. This is back at VWAP. I don't need this taking it to the downside, so I'm just gonna get out right here. It is not really moving. Gonna hang on to Roblox. I got my stop out, and there was one more thing I wanted to get to. Oh yeah, I wanted to just recap that U.S. Bank Corp. Again, I was saying 34 for a dip buy, but obviously now, it's 340. It's already bounced once. It doesn't seem like it's going to give an opportunity to dip there again. It's just gliding into the upside. I didn't even realize they reported tomorrow on that list. Not usually a name that we follow, but yeah, that news on them comes in front of their earnings, which will be tomorrow after the bell, because apparently everything except for Netflix is.
Wanted to discuss something, and now I don't remember what it was. Yeah, Netflix reporting tomorrow. There's just a whole bunch coming through. Oh, it was SWN. SWN right now back to the upside a little bit. I feel like we just cleared this out. I'm going to wait at 35. Hopefully it comes through. If not, fine. We were trying to bid down there at 706 again to get some more shares. That's where we're sort of where VWAP was. Well, now VWAP's at 15, so... just happened. Nothing. Okay. All right. So we're going to wait for that 35s to come through at some point. Hopefully it does, and then we'll be able to see what we do from there. Pretty close to getting out there on Amazon as well. As Ponzi Fonzie says, hola, cat, so then I say this.
Hola. Like and subscribe today.
Make sure you like and subscribe today. Right now, so do that as we are working on some more graphics. I don't know if we need another one for Cat or not, because that's a pretty good one right there. But we didn't hit Sharif's enough. Yeah, we had to do that.
Well, it's interesting because we've said we were going to do this more often.
It's literally part of the agreement.
Like,
out of
subscribe,
respect.
and share the show that takes you into the heart of the market every day.
You weren't here
the
because
heart of the,
yeah, the heart
that's
of the
interesting.
market. It's you weren't here when we disclosed Sharif's contract to everybody, and it was just basically that he had made us put in the contract that we at least do that 3 times a day. So you have to hit it again.
Oh, that's my bad. Yeah, we did it twice.
Subscribe and share the show that takes you into the heart of the market every day.
So
can we just say how beautiful that? It's a great beard. You got to get that beard back, man.
I don't. There has to be a different story there because I mean.
Look, I'll be.
I think he should be. Yeah, I think he should flex.
I can't grow a beard like that. I'll be straight up. Like, I'm not one to mince around. Like, if I could grow a beard like that, you'd have already seen one by now. At some point, it's just it doesn't work for me.
Sure.
There was a question. There was a question in the chat.
So
David
handsome.
Lee asking about when day trader will get options. They're coming to the platform. There's no firm ETA on that date, so we have no issues being candid about that. We've mentioned that we're getting. I think last we've heard crypto was going to be coming before options. I think that's still true.
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
options is roughly a month away.
So it's faster. Okay,
Yeah.
that's flipped. That's flipped. That's good.
So that's good. So
That's good. So they are coming.
we are
Ideally,
excited
both
for
are going to
that.
be
Yeah, I'm
online,
gonna
but
make
we
a
are excited
mess.
for that as well.
That's going to be fun. Look at Amazon.
That's going to be nuts. I think there's just a lot more trading opportunities out there. I know a lot of you guys are looking at options. To be able to pull that up and go over it for you should be a heck of a lot of fun. What do we got going on there? J Mott, would you go long or short on Intel at 30? Oh, okay. Well, it's apparently there's a question. I'll get to that. I don't think at this time of day I would put any new trades on, unless it's a 350 specific trade. So I'm in something, trailing stops have targets, but anything new would be off of maybe 350. So that's generally speaking how I always feel at 345. But let's get to the desk and handle some business.
Brought to you by IG.com. Trade Forex pairs like Euro USD with spreads as low as 0.8 pips and zero commissions at IG. Terms and conditions apply.
0.8 pips.
Boom.
Get your IG. Brendan's so good.
He is. It's that was very well done.
It's good. So
Awesome.
when do we start trading crypto? We just talked about that. So hopefully very, very soon, says Hampton's Trader. BlackRock will get its ETF approved. Hopefully it does that. Thank you so much, Dan McIsaac, man. I mean, this is the whole point. Brandon, I think you're talking about Brendan here. He's so consistent. That is correct.
Very consistent.
We do have a little bit of fun there. I don't know if you mean that or what you mean one of our trading, but so far so good there. I just tweeted it out that this is the only trade here really that we've been taking in the afternoon, and it's been a good, whatever. We're at 40. It only got as high as 36. Let's just let this go, man. I was upset when we missed out on getting the 29s or the 30s. So if I just waited literally a half hour more, we would have got it. But again, that's that whole crystal ball thing. Let me know if and when you have a valid crystal ball to use. What's up to D. Westermeyer? I am going to ask this right here. Will the Dallas Cowboys beat the Bills in Buffalo? I just want to see, because this is not until December 17th. I'll ask it something more recent soon.
Oh, that's a good one. Dak Prescott in Buffalo. That'll be good.
It's if Sean says so.
Well, I know your opinion on it.
Yeah. I think the Bills will take that one.
They're gonna-
All right. Will the market?
It's December.
All right.
You're not coming to Ralph Wilson in the winter and winning a game.
I don't think Dallas is. No.
Not Dallas, anyway.
I mean, Dak's making mistakes in domes. Okay, so I don't know. I don't really have a good question to think about.
Dak
Right
will
now.
fumble at least once in that game. That's my bold prediction. As long as it's cold enough, like if it's around zero.
You know who leads the league
gonna-
in picks?
in throwing picks? I actually don't know that this year. It's if you're asking me, it's not Dak. So obviously.
No, Dak has like 2 picks. Dak
it's
is
not him.
Dak is really good. It might
lead
even
the league
be.
in interceptions.
You know who I think it is? And he has 7 already.
I mean, Allen turns the ball over a lot.
I think it's Jalen Hurts.
Oh, he threw 3 picks this weekend. Yeah, you're right. That makes sense.
Yeah,
he threw 3 this weekend.
Anyways, we'll
Hurts to be him.
Hurts to be him. Yeah, it's a good.
That's a bad pun.
No, that's okay.
Two-
It doesn't hurt to be him. He signed a $280 million deal.
2.5 minutes to go. This just popped
Took
up.
some more out of Amazon.
We get early looks on some of the imbalances, but Ford was not here 2 seconds ago, and
Okay.
now it's like indicating early. It was just there for 9 million, and now it just disappeared. So that sort of flashed up 9 million to sell, and then went away. OGN's an index action today.
Oh, someone said it's Garoppolo.
OGN is a S&P completion index addition. So if you're going to expect to see an imbalance on OGN, probably not going to be that crazy of a trade. Garoppolo leads in picks.
Maybe.
I thought that guy was a game manager.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Like basically, Garoppolo leading the league in picks would be like a scalp trader holding something 10% against them, trading it like it's a small cap, or like a high flyer. Garoppolo's supposed to be a game manager. How could he throw that many picks? That's not good.
Yeah, Jimmy G. All right.
I'm just saying. I mean,
I don't know. I'll have to look at it.
I'm going with Hurts. Hurts.
I thought it was, but it could be. Who cares at this point? All right. Just quickly there. So Amazon, it was just because we're having these imbalances coming out right there. I took a 33 fill or something there on that. Sorry, 31 fill on Amazon. We were waiting for 30. We were waiting for 40s, but we were waiting at 38. So we will sacrifice 7 cents or so on that one to get a piece out, leaving us now with that infamous 10% left. I typed in leading NFL in interceptions, and of course the defenses showed up.
Oh,
so
of course, yeah.
it was like 49ers. I'm like, it's not Brock Purdy. Okay, so nice move to the downside there now in the market. So that was probably a good out. So again, we are pretty clean with everything right now. Rivian just continues to march lower. And again, another call right here off the sticking in with only a minute left. This call was another pretty simple one. It's been bouncing off, and we can look at Rivian over and over and over again. Here's 20 bucks. It's come in a couple times now in a row, and there it is again today. So, you know, sometimes we talk about trading being difficult and sometimes not. And today on that trade, not really super difficult to short Rivian, but it did pop higher. So that's where we were pretty lucky to wait and grab a 20 or whatever. What are we short right now on Rivian? 19s. So that part was lucky. It could have kept on going and we would have gotten stopped out. So we'll count our chickens on Rivian. But again, another good trade there to end. And then we're going to get out of Lucid on a 5 break. The very bottom was 94. Ho-hum on that one. We'll see where we go now with only 6 seconds left before these imbalances.
Yeah, we'll see how they come out. Probably nothing burger. It was 46 million to sell. There was no change on the update. Just seeing things streaming here. AT&T 1.5 to the sell side. BAC 1.2 to the sell side. Uber is a sell. Uber's there 770,000 sell. I'm not seeing any of the big cap tech. I'm just scrolling down here. Pfizer's a buy of 700,000. Morgan Stanley is a sell of 600,000. Apple, there you go. Apple, the first one, 500,000 shares to the buy side. Apple. It's 1.1 billion to sell. So 1.1 billion to sell. I'm probably just gonna get out of Palantir here just in case. I'll hang on to Roblox to see if that one wants to continue to the downside. Didn't really have to move the stop here, but if it can get back into the 90s, we'll go ahead and take that one on Palantir. So yeah, I mean, I actually didn't think it would be much of anything, but 1.1 billion to sell is nothing. But you did see the lack of big cap tech names of that, you know, with those million numbers for Apple to be the biggest one at 500,000 is not at all significant. Like Apple, you want to see it be over $1 million, and then it matters a heck of a lot more. What else we got going on here?
I'm just getting out of it.
Is NVIDIA a sale? Well, I mean, today it was. I can tell you that much. The recent trend. So obviously in the year, oh yeah, that daily chart. Yeah, that daily chart of mine is having some problems on NVIDIA. But the last week or so, NVIDIA has been in the midst of a pretty precipitous pullback from 475. And I don't think that's broken, right? Like you had this top here at 450, you regained underneath that, you never reclaimed 450. It looks like it's still in a stair step to the downside. On the bounce to the upside, it was relatively weak. Most things got back to pre-market levels. NVIDIA did not. So that was another thing that's weak about it. It's going to be off the lows today, but still feels like it's in a pullback. And you don't get NVIDIA earnings until the end of earnings season, so you got to wait around a bit until we get their numbers. They're always like literally, well, I'm pretty sure they're the last. It's them and Marvell. Like you get the last two of the chip names are always those two. So we'll wait around for that, but it does feel like NVIDIA is in the midst of a pullback. At least be thinking short before long tomorrow morning. It's not automatic that I would short it, but I'd be thinking short before I've been thinking long on NVIDIA.
All right, because, I agree with all that. I want to wait for that. I would not take a trade until you get that NVIDIA number because the last earnings report was a record report for them, and it went down 25%. So that was a fail, but we are not failing right now on Southwest as that goes all the way up to the upside right now. Nice move on Chesapeake. We bought it, Southwestern Energy. Nice move up there to 733. We just took it out. So, you know, that high was 740. We were waiting at 38s again. Does not come into play for me there. Cash it out on Rivian. As you guys can see where that short, we finally got out of that one. So that's going to be a banger. And then where's our Lucid trade? Get ready for another bang. Right there, we'll cash that out as I just punched out of all of these. SWN, we just talked about it. What else? Meta, let's see where that is. Meta for our out right now. Meta's basically been barcoding, so that's a bang. I'm just hitting these for fun. And then Amazon, what time is it, 3:53? So I probably got to go over there in about 3 or 4 minutes, get ready for the market recap. But, you know, if it comes back up into 40s, I guess that's pretty good. So let's just put an offer up there. We'll see if we get that 38, okay? That's what we were going to wait for in the first place. And then, honestly, Google was the one that I thought, because it barcoded like this, maybe we had a chance to go down. I'm actually again, no word of a lie, I'm bidding 12s, which was the bottom of that wick. I was not there when that happened. So I put the order just there right now to see if we could get that fill. But again, you can see where we are. We're already 35 cents in the money. Okay, Amazon, let's go. If we can get this 38, man, then we'd be cruising right now. 60-cent winner. There to go. Oh, no. Do not stop at 37 right there, Amazon. Come on, pretty please. Forever, ever? Forever, ever? Outcast Aquemini? Let's go get going to the upside right now. You could shake it like a Polaroid picture, Amazon, and get going to the upside right now. Okay, well, whatever. It's at 35. Let's just pretend we get a 38 fill. There's 36. There's 37. And one more, and we can finally spin it because there it is, 60 cents to end the day on a pretty sweet trade there for Amazon. And that has just... as it rips up higher. That has just about ended the trade there. We'll just punch out a Google as no more damage needs to be put on in this one. Google out. We did wait for a higher spot on, or for a lower spot, back down to 12 on that one. You can see Google really getting upside there. But look what happens. These are these imbalances, man. Like Amazon's, yeah, they're probably about to flip. Amazon rips all the way up to 51 there. And then now turning back around. So good trading today, man. I hope you had a lot of fun. Thanks for all the nice positive talk there in the chat. Enjoy me because traders stay late. That's the hashtag. And I'm going to see everybody in a couple minutes until 4:30 where we'll review market recap. We'll talk about some trades and we'll see what's happening there today. So far, so good. Thanks for watching and thank you to Frank Caberna today.
Always thank you to Frank. As we said, like at 355, you get a big flip on the imbalances often. Apple is now a buy, so buy side 750,000. Everything that was a big sell kind of paired off, or at least the bigger ones. You do have, I was mentioning to you guys that there was that big action on OGN. So that's why you see OGN to the buy side. It is an expected index action. Not a heck of a lot going on. I just noticed, I didn't see Meta, but like that's the spike at 355. It broke $1 to the upside.
Wow.
So when you hear us say things like, "Oh, going to put a trailing stop or get out of something into that 355 and make sure to cover," it's because when imbalances flip, you can see that happen. Now I just got out of Roblox at 355 when there was even a small spike up. Sometimes nothing happens. Sometimes you get a big spike, 2-set upside. You've got to watch out for that a lot of times. Just watching, going back over to Tesla, because I'm always curious about it. It does bounce off 254. I thought Tesla on strength in the market would be a little bit better than it turns out it will be here today. Like it doesn't get back into those highs. It holds that 54, which I thought was good support, but not a heck of a lot doing after that. So a bit of a, I almost want to call it a nothing burger afternoon for Tesla. Like you could have scalped along, but really it was just holding on to shorts for most of the way. Lower highs all the way through, and just got to be able to respect that. Shout out to everyone in the chat that's been having a good day. It has been, when you get these V-shaped recovery type days, it does give everybody a little bit of something, right? Because if you came in with a long bias, you got something. If you came in with a short bias, you got something. So these are the kinds of days that you try to take advantage of. Worth mentioning, obviously, that we are still in exactly the same range for now 3 days in a row. There's your bottom. There's your top. We have not broken this range. Expecting us to break this range tomorrow, I think is asking a little bit much. But at some point, we're going to break out of this 250, 300-point range on the NASDAQ. Until then, you want to have it in your back pocket to respect the range as it lies. If we're not going to get out of here, then this just sort of is what it is at this point. And I want to respect that range by shorting tops. That's why you hear us a lot of times talk about, oh, the market's getting to the tops. We're going to be looking for some shorting opportunities. That's all we mean by that. It's nothing too crazy. It's just us wanting to respect what we see out there in the market. Any thoughts? There's questions about earnings in here. I don't mind. I'm going to be flat. Not going to put anything new on here. Thoughts on UAL earnings? You don't want to talk to me about the airlines. I have a bit of a bias. Like I think airlines should be utilities, but at the same time, they tend to be pretty decent trading vehicles when it comes to trends. If my chart wants to load up here, I have 2 minutes to go. My UAL chart finally. I mean, my daily's going to load. And so when I say I don't like them, you can see what's happening on this chart. Not good at all. But sometimes you get the best rallies when the worst has come in. Remember Pfizer the other day when they revised those numbers and it was absolutely crap? And then it caught a bid that day. So I think the same thing could be in line for some of these airlines, just simply because you're at a support level. So you're at in between like this 37, and I was going to look at this level right here, which is essentially 40. Like if you break that, there's some room to get $2, $3 to the upside in UAL, if not a little bit more. So relief rallies can be a thing. Again, I don't own any airlines. I'm not going to sit here and tell you any fundamentals about them. It's just that observe that sometimes in earnings season, when you get that much movement to the downside, suddenly the risk is in the other direction. And in the case of UAL, that would be to the upside. You're right about it, Bears versus Bulls. If you have not, smash that like. We got 40 seconds to go. It has been a fun day. You know where you're headed after that. But until then, just enjoy this ride. The market, we're probably not going to get green, but given where we were when we started today, if you had said we're going to go green at about, let's call it 9 o'clock, I don't think anybody was taking that bet. No, I think nobody was taking that bet, but you got close enough. The market has been resilient. Just remember, it's also a choppy market, so you got to stick to your key price levels. Let's get over to Adara. Camera off me. Countdown is on. Fantastic midday as well, by the way, Adara. But in 2 and 1, let's ring it. And once again, the market is closed. We end up maybe 0.25% to the downside for the overall NASDAQ. Not a bad day whatsoever in terms of trade, but not a fantastic day for the markets if you've been tracking it. Want to shout out to not just Fabian and Ramin on the 1s and 2s doing a great job, but you've seen Mark and Randy obviously changing things around here, and you've seen Mark and Rob running around fixing things. We had a power issue this morning that got handled rather quickly, so I want to shout out to them. The midday is always with Obi and Sharif doing their thing, and we just mentioned Adara doing a fantastic job as she's learning in her trading journey. But your journey's not over. Why isn't it over? Because we might be done here, but we're not done with the show because we still have the market recap. I'm Neil. Brendan's at the desk, as always, but you're headed right on over to Sean for the market recap with special guest.
Yo, what's up, traders? Thank you for joining me as traders do stay late. And I just want to thank again everybody for being here with us as we go. I'm going to pop out the chat right now.